Hello. So I wanted to share some thoughts about why we have negative feelings and thoughts, why we get stuck in unwanted sabotaging patterns in our life. So we know from neuroscience that just 5% of our cognitive brain activity is within the realm of our logical conscious awareness. 95% is subconscious. So what that means is the vast majority of our thoughts, feelings, decisions, choices, behaviors are beyond our conscious awareness. So it explains why, for example, you want to lose weight, that's a conscious decision, but you're not able to lose weight. Or you want to be able to make more money through your business, but you don't feel you're able to make more money. Or why you want to attract a partner and you're not getting a partner. Okay, so what's going on is really in the subconscious. And what's fascinating about the subconscious is that that's where our core limiting beliefs are stored. That is our fear-based perceptions of ourself and all the themes of life and life itself. So some limiting beliefs include I'm not good enough, I'm not enough, smart enough, attractive enough, old enough, young enough. I don't want to try XYZ because then I might fail or I might be disappointed. It's really hard for me to make money. Money doesn't come easily to me. The world is an unfair place. These are all limiting beliefs. So where do our limiting beliefs come from? Our limiting beliefs come from trauma, unresolved trauma in our life. Trauma, especially between the age of 0 and 8, because that's when we're actually a sponge, and that's when we form the foundation of our belief system. And what's important here is that our belief system is what shapes our perception of the world and ourself in the world. So it's really the filter through which we look at things. So what do I mean by a trauma? A trauma is when we feel threatened, physically threatened, and or our sense of emotional security, our sense of worth is threatened. It's coming from something that is unexpected, shocking, distressing, and we're not able to cope or respond to what's happening. And so we go into fight or flight mode. Now, when we think of trauma, we just think of the big things. We think of abuse, we think of death, we think of war or another disaster. But actually, it's also the smaller traumas that we don't realize are traumas that have the greatest impact on our lives. So I'll just give you an example. A teacher screaming at a child in the classroom who's trying to respond to a question and telling him or her that they're lazy or stupid or not smart enough. So now as an adult, you might not think that's a big deal, but through the eyes of a child, it's actually a huge deal. So what happens is the child is not able to respond. They go into fight or flight mode, which is a trauma response. The whole scene gets imprinted into their body. Now, all the feeling of the scene gets imprinted into their body and wired into their brain. So what happens is they form a limiting belief. They might form the limiting belief that I'm not good enough, or when I open my mouth, I'll be humiliated. And this child who grows up without having processed that trauma will keep feeling very challenged about speaking up, They may have a fear of public speaking. They may have a fear of just expressing themselves and struggling with this big time in their life. So when we don't process our traumatic experiences, what happens is a part of us splits off. And it's a defense mechanism. It's to protect us. It's to keep us safe so that we can move forward in life, so to speak. But a part of us has gotten stuck in the past and is still very much alive in our body. And that's why it can be easily re-triggered by a challenge in the present time. So this child, who's now an adult, has to give a presentation in front of people and just is extremely nervous to do some public speaking or presentation because there's some unresolved trauma for them. So our unresolved trauma and the associated belief that's formed with it, really, it fuels our thoughts, it fuels our feelings and our actions. It really limits our success in life and feeling that we can fulfill our potential and live a happy life. So this is the power of trauma in our lives. So EFT tapping or matrix reimprinting will allow you to be able to find the root of where that suffering is coming from. Where was that belief or those beliefs formed? And to really release the trauma that your younger selves are holding and to help them feel safe and empowered. And in releasing that imprint from your body and your brain, you can then re-imprint a healed reality with a more empowering belief. I hope this was helpful.